Hi everyone, Mikey79 here and welcome to this new deck tech video of Magic Duels. And the build that I have for you guys today is a Bant control deck, and as you can see it is very control-y. Now I don't always pay that much attention to the stars, but it is a very slow control deck. So if you're an aggro player, get the hell out of here because this ain't for you. And if you like slow control builds, then this could be just your thing. Now, so the control is basically with instant and sorceries and enchantments. The win conditions are some enchantments and yeah, usually the planeswalkers or the few creatures that I have, of course. So let's start with the beginning with Oath of Nissa for green mana. Yeah, you guys all know this one's a legendary enchantment. You get to see the top 3 cards of your library, get a creature, land or planeswalker from among them and put them in your hand, and the rest goes to the bottom of the library. And you can spend your mana in any way just to cast planeswalker spells, so you're never color screwed to cast planeswalkers. Now it doesn't count for this one because Jace, for his Prodigy, is a creature, not a planeswalker when he comes into play. But since we play a decent amount of sorceries and instants, he's still a good planeswalker to have around. Yeah, his creature site is a filter, draw a card, discard a card, and when you have 5 or more cards in your graveyard, we get to transform him into the Telepath Unbound. And he controls a board with his first ability a little bit, and then it's the -3 that could be the most relevant in this deck because we get to cast a target instant or sorcery card from our graveyard. But we do have to exile it, and that can be important, as you will see later in this video. And the emblem, yeah, it usually wins you the game as well. So. Then the Sylvan Advocate for 2 mana, colorless and a green, we get a 2/3 vigilance creature. He's pretty damn good, he still is in my opinion. And if we control 6 or more lands, then he gets +2/+2, and he also gives that to land creatures. Now it was either this one or Thing in the Eyes. The reason why it didn't wind up to be Thing in the Eyes is because I wanted a creature that can kill other creatures. That's what makes this one a slightly better blocker. Later in the game, if you can transform Thing in the Eyes, of course, that is a big game changer. But I still think this is an early hitter. He can be aggressive. You can put a little bit pressure on him because he has on your opponent, because this one has vigilance. So yeah, you guys all know this card. Don't have to talk about it actually. Then Blessed Alliance might seem an odd choice because yeah, there are some other removal spells, but it is instant speed, which I like. 2 mana that can solve almost every problem, and you got the zombie decks. Those go wide, and some top tier decks are still floating around. But it is a good choice against a copter. Still is a decent choice, and it gives you a life. And it's that combination. I wanted removal and some life gain, and I didn't have a spot to have it in 2 separate cards, so I had to have 1 card that does the 2. And yeah, Blessed Alliance just still does the job. It's still a great card in my opinion. Then Unsubstantiate, yeah, for 2 mana, it's a very versatile card. Instant speed, you can return target spell or creature to its owner's hand. Bouncing something is still a very strong ability, and it's cheap. So then the new Nissa, she has an X value in her casting cost. You pay a green and a blue, and then X, and X is the number of counters that she comes into play with. And she's got some neat abilities. The +2 is Scry 2. I guess that's the thing that we will be using the most in this build. Because we don't have in that much permanence, we don't play that many creatures or lands. Lands we do play, of course, but we don't play that many creatures to abuse the second ability. Or you can just take a swing with the -6 and deal perhaps 10 damage the same turn that you play her. So Yeah, pretty good card all around a little bit. The Scry 2 is always a great ability. Yeah, and the -6 is actually pretty good as well. It allows her to attack the same turn or to protect her. It's up to you. So yeah, and the 0 ability is pretty awesome as well, but not that relevant here. Now we get to see some creatures that we play. Thalia, yeah, I think she is a great control creature because it slows down your opponent like hell, and it is a good target for him. But yeah, you can play her early, and she's got first strike, great hitter early in the game. Yeah, like I said, it's basically for the abilities that I play her because yeah, it slows down the opponent, and that's what we need. We need time. Then a god, Kefnet the Mindful, perhaps not the most exciting god of them all because yeah, he's quite difficult to trigger, to attack with or to block with, but you only pay 3 mana for him. He's a 5/5 flying indestructible. And basically the reason why I play him is for his last ability. When you pay 4, you draw a card and then you may return a land you control to its owner's hand. Yeah, and if you have 7 or more cards in hand, then he can attack or block finally. I'm still a little bit in doubt with this one. He's a bit of a weird god, I think. Attacking and blocking, if you put him in the deck just to make sure that you can attack and block, you have to really build around it. And that's not what I did with this deck. I think he's late game, he can be pretty good because he's a draw engine. But yeah, I tested this deck quite some games, but never had too much chances to play with this guy. But he popped up once in a while, and yeah, when he did pretty well, so I kept him in. Then I think the best creature in this deck is the Reflector Mage. For 3 mana we get to bounce a creature when we play him from our opponent, and he can't cast that the next turn, so, or any creature with that same name. So yeah, he slows down, awesome card, you know him. Then one Oath of Jace. For 3 mana we get to draw 3 cards, and then we have to discard 2. And at the beginning of our upkeep we get to scry X, where X is the number of planeswalkers you control. Now this isn't a planeswalker deck, but just to filter some cards, this is an awesome card. To have just one copy of it is okay. So yeah, I want to go through my deck pretty fast. I need some draw. I need a draw engine, I need something to scry or to draw or whatever, and this one does that just perfectly. Then something to control the board, of course, is Imprisoned in the Moon. We go a bit more to the enchantment side. We got a nice balance between enchantments and other spells. 3 mana we get to enchant creature, land or planeswalker, and it becomes a waste actually. So then the new Gideon, Gideon of the Trials. Maybe not the most exciting version of Gideon, although I think he does pretty well in the control build, maybe even better than the aggro versions of him, because you can still hit with him. He's only a 4/4 with indestructible. That's still great, of course. If you zero him, he becomes a 4/4 indestructible soldier. But this +1 is pretty neat actually, because it protects you. If you're, once again, if your opponent doesn't go white, he can shut down a creature actually. So the +1 is pretty good. And then the emblem is a bit of a weird thing. You get an emblem with, as long as you control a Gideon planeswalker, you can't lose a game, and your opponents can't win the game. And that's also a 0 ability. So you can play him even when there's no creature on the board. You can play him, have the emblem right away, and as long as this guy is in play, then you won't have to worry about losing. Now, I don't play any other Gideons because that would be a nice combo, obviously, but the emblem is basically not what I'm going for. Actually, the reason why I play him is for the hitter and to protect myself. And he's a 3 mana cost planeswalker, so he's pretty cheap. Then one of the better removal spells as an enchantment is this one. For 4 mana we get an enchantment with flash, so that means that we can play it anytime. It's at instant speed. And when it enters the battlefield, we get to exile target non-land permanent that opponent controls until cast out leaves the battlefield. And it has cycling for 1 white, so that means that we get to discard a card, discard this one, and draw another one. Yeah, he deals with planeswalkers, enchantments, artifacts, you name it. There's nothing that is safe for this card. But the downside is, of course, that when the opponent blows this one up, then yeah, he gets it back. That's the downside. Then another exciting enchantment from Amonkhet is this one, Bounty of the Luxa. For 4 mana we get an enchantment with a lot of text, but basically it says in your first main phase, either way you're gonna get an extra card, or otherwise you're gonna get 3 mana to your mana pool. And you have to use that in your main phase, in your first main phase, because if you don't, if you go to combat phase, the mana that's in your pool is gone. It's gone, so you lose it. So this is a nice draw engine ramp card. It does both. So if you get 2 in play and you played it that the one takes turns with the other one, then you got a draw ramp engine going on. That's pretty neat. Nice card. Then yeah, Bant colors. It gave me the opportunity to play Tamiyo for once, because I did play her in the past, but yeah, her colors are so restricted that you don't get to play her that often. So I thought, why the hell not? She's still a great planeswalker. The +1, yeah, we don't have that many creatures, but if you target your opponent's creatures, you get to draw cards as well. The -2 is Uber Control. Yeah, you can slow down your opponent once more. And the -7, yeah, I had the emblem last time, and yeah, you simply win the game with that. If you play everything for free, it won't be, it won't take too long. Then Planar Outburst, still one of the best mass removal cards in the game, in my opinion. Destroy all non-land creatures, and you can even awaken a land to start beating down on your opponent. Then actually a key card here is Emeria Sheperd and a win con. She doesn't come cheap, she's still 7 mana, but when you play her you also want to play a land, so you will be playing her when you can play the 8th land, preferably. And that's because she has the landfall ability, and whenever a land enters the battlefield you get to return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. And if it's a plains, it goes to the battlefield instead. So that's a little bit the reason why I play more enchantments than instants or sorceries in this control deck. Yeah, it is. You can abuse a graveyard pretty awesome with this card, and I like that a lot. Now, if you can get this enchantment straight from your graveyard to your battlefield, that is pretty awesome, because that is a pretty decent win condition. New card from Amonkhet, Sandwurm Convergence. For 8 freaking mana you get an enchantment that says that creatures with flying can't attack you or planeswalkers you control, and at the beginning of your end step you get a 5/5 green worm. So this makes worms like crazy. Every turn you get a 5/5. So if this one stays in play, you win the game. Then I also play Spring. For 3 mana we get to search our library for a basic land and put it into the battlefield tapped. It's a little bit of a ramp card. It's not a ramp deck, it's not a ramp build, but it's always nice to fix your mana or your colors, or to get that extra land that you might need. And also the other side, the aftermath side, that means when you play it and it winds up in the graveyard, it's this side that lies in the graveyard. You can play it at instant speed for 6 mana and you draw 2 cards. So that's a pretty steep cost, but it is an extra side of the card. If you would only have Spring, it would be okay, it's nice, but this is something extra that you might use from time to time. I only play 2 copies, by the way, because I also play Evolving Wilds, and I don't want this to be a dead card neither, so don't play that many basics. And then actually one of the key cards why I built this deck, and it's a bit built around it in a way, is this one. It's Commit. It's not this side where it's built around, but Commit says at instant speed for 4 mana you can put target spell or non-land permanent into its owner's library second from the top. Now that deals with a lot creatures or whatever, problematic planeswalkers or something. Of course your opponent is gonna get them back with his second draw, but there are things that you can do to fix that problem. But this is a great spell to slow down your opponent to have a solution. It's instant speed, which makes it even better. I really like this card, I really like it. And I also like the other side of it, because that screams control as well. I don't think that we had this effect before, or if we did, it wasn't something that you saw a lot anyway. But anyway, his Aftermath side, it's 6 mana, it doesn't come cheap, but it says each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into his or her library, and then draws 7 cards. So yeah, if you can do it like that, if you put the problem second from the top on his library, and then you can shuffle it, then the problem is maybe gone. Maybe he draws it as well, but probably it's gone. So also the enchantments, everything that you played, everything that you cycled, everything that blew up, it comes back into your hand, into your library, and you draw 7 cards. Now that's gas for control decks. That is so important and so great. It's like an Elixir of Immortality. It was a great card in previous editions of Duels, and I still think it's one of an awesome control card. That one is still better, but this card does the same thing basically, only it doesn't let you gain life. But yeah, this is an effect that I really like. Also, you draw 7 cards, so it won't always happen, of course, not every game, but that if you have this guy in play, then he can attack also. It's got great synergy with that card. And you get everything back, your planeswalkers, all your enchantments. It goes all back into the deck of your opponent as well, of course. So you gotta have try to feel a little bit, is it more beneficial for me than it is for him? That's the question that you have to ask before you play Memory. That's always the question you have to ask yourself. Then, but I really like that effect. And then we got the mana base, of course. We got 3 plains, 3 islands, 3 forests, the 2 lumbering falls, the plains duels for triggering the angel, of course, the Canopy Vistas and the Prairie streams, the Hinterland Harbor, the Glacial Fortresses, the Sunpetal Grove, and then the Evolving Wilds to fix our mana early in the game, or also it's a nice combo once again with this Emeria Sheperd here. And that's basically the build. I had some nice games with it, it's pretty fun, but I am a control player, I really like this kind of decks. It's slow as hell, so if you wanna grind, do not play this deck. It's not a deck to grind, it's a deck to have fun with. If we check out the curve real fast, yeah, not many do I have 1-drops actually? Oops. Oh yeah, the Oath of Nissa, of course, is the 1-drop. And then we do play some 2 mana costed cards here, and then 3. So the curve is still pretty nice. It's the slow condition is it's a slow win condition, but it's not a slow deck. You can play your stuff pretty early as well, because you got quite the 2 and the 3 drops, and then it goes down, and then the 6+ is of course the most expensive enchantment here. and Emeria Sheperd. So those are the most expensive. If you wonder why these cards are always at the back, the aftermath cards, that's because the app thinks that in Magic, the Mind and Spring, it's the converted mana cost in this case. It is not 6, but it is 9. Although in this screen you don't see it that way, so there it takes it as a 3. I guess we can actually check it out if we remove it. Yeah, you see now at the 3 mana cost we have 10 instead of 11. So, but the reason why it is always in the back is because he says it's the most expensive cards. Well, in my opinion, that isn't true at all. But anyway, that's the deck for you guys. I hope I triggered your curiosity here, and I hope I see you at the gameplay video, of course. See you guys there. Have a nice day. Bye bye, guys.